There is a fight right now within the Democratic Party, and Ezra Klein is representing a floundering corporatist centrist flank that is increasingly irrelevant in the party, and he's trying to carry water for them in the Times. I mean, I think it's a lucrative thing to do, but it's not necessarily matching the reality.
I love it. I'm so excited to disagree with you. I do, because I could not disagree more.
Emma Vigeland, the progressive voice from the Majority Report, recently joined MSNBC for a heated discussion with several centrist commentators. The debate centered on whether the Democratic Party has drifted too far left and needs to adopt a more moderate stance, more in line with politicians like Joe Manchin, to improve its chances in future elections. Emma, of course, pushed back strongly against that idea. In today's piece, we'll check out clips from the Majority Report featuring her exchange with the centrists on MSNBC, and I'll be sharing my own perspective on the debate as well. Let's jump right into it.
I wanted to get your thoughts on the Democratic Party here and whether or not what this upcoming Tuesday means for them. Ezra Klein recently wrote for the New York Times that over the past 15 years, the Democratic Party has made room on its left and closed down on its right. For all the talk of what the Democratic Party should learn from Bernie Sanders and Zohran Mamdani, there should be at least as much talk of what they should learn from Manchin or Golden or Marie Perez or Sarah McBride. The party should be seeking more, not less, internal disagreement. Do you agree with that stance?
No. I mean, I don't know what reality Ezra Klein is living in. The fact that the Democratic Party has tacked to its left in what universe? Yeah. The coalescing around Joe Biden in the 2020 primary, the besmirching of Bernie Sanders supporters, the eschewing of that movement in 2016, and even in this current moment with Zohran Mamdani, who has been a shot in the arm for the Democratic Party. You still have Chuck Schumer refusing to endorse him, and Hakeem Jeffries' endorsement is lukewarm at best. There is a fight right now within the Democratic Party, and Ezra Klein is representing a floundering corporatist centrist flank that is increasingly irrelevant in the party, and he's trying to carry water for them in the Times. I mean, I think it's a lucrative thing to do, but it's not necessarily matching the reality.
I love it. I'm so excited to disagree with you. I do, because I could not disagree more. The point Ezra's trying to make is that it takes two wings to fly. That he's trying to say the Democrats need to build a Big Ten. And he's not saying you got to choose between Zohran Mamdani and Bernie Sanders and the centrist wing. He's saying Democrats need to compete in more places. You raised a stat earlier that I think is the key one. Why, when Donald Trump's numbers are plummeting among independent voters, he's got 48% strong disapproval. How come the Democratic Party's approval rating is lower as a brand
because
than
of the muddled message that I was just trying to elucidate?
So you believe it's because they're not far left enough?
No, I believe that there needs to be a different approach to politics here, not building a tent and saying we don't necessarily stand for anything, including Ezra advocating for saying that we should run anti-abortion Democrats in red states. So let's throw trans people under the bus. Let's throw women under the bus. Let's just do anything except
reorienting territory, though.
No,
I think he's talking about being practical.
And trying to expand the map. That's what needs to happen here. Is if Democrats are how do you expand the map? Is you win in Ohio and you win in Pennsylvania and you win in West Virginia. As much as Democrats hate Joe Manchin, he was the only Democrat who could win statewide office in Manchin.
I'm sorry, but Joe Manchin helped kill the child tax credit, which is the reason the Democrats are lagging behind in affordability right now.
But would it have been better if there were a Republican in that seat?
If the Democrats want to orient themselves behind a working class coalition and use that as the base, that is how you build a durable coalition, not the one that has lost to Trump multiple times.
But if you look at the track record of like Sunrise and Justice Dems and these other, more populist progressive groups,
the base wasn't there. Now the base is there. The base is currently behind it.
They have not gained a single seat
because of the institutional pushback from the Democratic Party. And
because
right now
of the voters.
The voters
are part of it.
I do, to Emma's point, I do think that there is, when you're just looking top down from the most powerful figures in the Democratic Party establishment, there is a pattern of them being much more accepting of the rightward flank than the left side of the flank. I do think we're seeing that. I think we have some sounds of Hillary Clinton was just asked about Mamdani, who is, by every poll, still in a double-digit lead, very likely to become the mayor.
In New York City.
Hold on. Let's take a listen to the sound that we have of Hillary Clinton, and then I want both of you to respond on the other side.
This is fun.
If you had a vote in this city, would you vote for Zohran Mamdani?
You know what? I don't vote in this city. I'm not involved in it. I have not, been at all. even asked to be involved in it, and I have not chosen to be involved in it.
She was a senator from New York. She's in New York all the time for various events. She speaks up on other Democratic issues.
She doesn't live in a lot of states, and she weighs in on a lot of states.
John, do you think that's the right move for Clinton to make?
I think she's telling the truth about what she's punting because she doesn't support Zoran Mamdani's policies. Look, there's been a long struggle over, go back to 1977. I'll just go nerd out. Moynihan versus Bella Abzug. There are deep divisions inside the Democratic Party that get played out. There are good principled fights over policy. Those are legitimate fights and disagreements. And for a lot of folks, a member of the DSA who's never held a job or never had an executive experience.
Assemblyman's a job.
Not a job in the private sector. You're right.
I don't care about that, though. He has had a job.
That's the problem.
Right.
It's worth caring about whether someone's ever had a job in the private sector. It's worth caring about whether they've had an executive experience. He's enormously talented. He's very compelling.
Emma Vigeland absolutely nailed her argument in this debate. Let's unpack a few things, starting with Joe Manchin. During the discussion, Ezra Klein suggested that Democrats should have more figures like Manchin, and one of the panelists noted how he managed to win elections in West Virginia as a Democrat. What they conveniently forget is that Manchin's success had little to do with his policies and everything to do with his family's political legacy. His uncle, A. James Manchin, was a beloved Democratic figure in the state, and Joe rode that wave of name recognition for years. But by the end of his career, both sides were tired of him. Progressives saw him as a Republican in disguise, and conservatives couldn't get past his party label. His victories were more about history and familiarity than political ideology, which makes holding him up as a model for modern Democrats completely pointless. And about that panelist who kept referencing elections from 1977, if I were in Emma's place, I'd have said, come on, it's not 1977 anymore. The entire political landscape has changed, with Trumpism, MAGA politics, and the radicalization of the Republican Party. Democrats can't afford to play by old rules that no longer apply. Unfortunately, many establishment Democrats still think they can win by being polite and compromising endlessly, but that strategy doesn't work anymore. This MSNBC segment with Emma actually came before the latest government shutdown fiasco, where once again, Democrats look ready to fold without getting anything in return. It's the same cycle every time. They give in, lose leverage, and then wonder why voters don't see them as fighters. That's the heart of the issue. The Democratic Party has too few people willing to take a stand. Sure, there are voices, like Bernie Sanders, AOC, and Ilhan Omar, who actually push for change, but they're constantly overshadowed by centrists like Joe Manchin, who would rather appease Republicans than fight for working people. Ezra Klein's idea that Democrats need more Manchins is exactly backward. The party doesn't need to drift further toward the middle, it needs to find its backbone. People often use the saying, you need two wings on a bird to fly, but when one wing is huge and the other barely exists, the bird just spins in circle, and that's exactly what's happening to the Democrats. The centrists who show up on networks like MSNBC love warning that the left can't go too far, or they'll scare away suburban moderates. But you'll never hear those same people say Republicans need to move to the center. The pressure to compromise always falls on Democrats, and that's why the party keeps stagnating. The real problem isn't that Democrats are too progressive, it's that they've stopped inspiring people. Their entire pitch has become about stopping Republicans rather than improving lives. They can't just shout about Trump and MAGA forever. They need to actually deliver for the people who vote for them. That means tackling the broken healthcare system, offering a real public option, fixing student debt, and ensuring ordinary Americans can live with dignity. Meanwhile, Republicans distract the public with endless culture wars. But most Americans just want security, healthcare, and opportunity, not to be pawns in some ideological battle. If Democrats keep following the advice of Beltway pundits and try to model themselves after Joe Manchin, they're setting themselves up for another round of losses. What the country truly needs are more bold progressives. In Congress, in leadership, and in the White House, people who are willing to challenge the system instead of maintaining it. Emma Vigeland understands that perfectly, and she said what needed to be said. But what do you think? Are the centrists right that Democrats should stay in the middle, or do you agree with Emma that it's time for a new generation of progressives to take the reins? Personally, I can't think of anyone outside of the pundit class who's asking for more Joe Manchins. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear them.